and welcome to Common Cues. Do you know how the Quran describes the creation of the universe and of human beings? Quite a few verses in the Quran explain the magic of creation. Take this verse for example. Then he turned to the heaven while it was smoke, and he said to it and to the earth, "Come into being, willingly or unwillingly." This should remind you of the Big Bang Theory. Yes, the theory tells us that the celestial bodies were made out of hydrogen and helium, and that can be the smoke or vapor that we read in this verse. But what about life? Where did it come from? The Quran says that all living things are created out of water. Have the faithless not regarded that the heavens and the earth were interwoven, and we unraveled them, and we made every living thing out of water? Again, modern scientific evidence confirms that the very first living organisms on Earth were made in the oceans around 3.5 to 4 billion years ago. They were microscopic beings with a very simple construction, and back then no living creature existed on Earth. The Quran also tells us that before human beings were created, another type of being was created, namely beings called the jinn. And we created the jinn earlier out of a piercing fire. The jinn are a kind of creature that has body and soul, and the term jinn means to be hidden or to hide. Some jinns believe in God, some don't. The devil, who is sometimes also referred to as Satan or the shaitan, is one of the jinn. Whereas the jinn are made of fire, the first human being was made of clay, and this was Adam. Indeed, I am going to create a human out of a dry clay, drawn from an aging mud. And this is not to be understood as something that is impossible or unbelievable. The Quran gives us the example of Jesus, who himself had the ability to create living beings out of clay. I will create for you out of clay the form of a bird. Then I will breathe into it, and it will become a bird by Allah's will. The creation of Jesus is another example besides Adam of a human being who was not created in the conventional way. Explaining how it can be that God performs such seemingly unusual things is described in the Quranic verses, chapter 19, verses 20 to 21, when the mother of Jesus, Mary, asks God how it can be that she is with child as she never had relations with a man. God reassures her that for him it is easy. Your Lord says, "It is simple for me." It's that simple. After that, ordinary procreation serves as the way in which mankind multiply and populate the earth. Then he made his progeny from an extract of a base fluid. According to Islam, creation is purposeful, and it is not something random or pointless. And the following verse of the Quran explains this. We did not create the heaven and the earth and whatever is between them for play. The Quran reminds the believers that man is supposed to worship God and spend his or her lifetime moving closer to God. The Quran says that man is God's creation, and then at the end of human life, the soul returns back to God. Did you suppose that we created you aimlessly and that you will not be brought back to us? The criterion of creation is so important that God also says to the believers in the Quran, "Indeed, those whom you invoke besides Allah will never create even a fly if they rallied to do so." That was it for today, and remember to send us your questions.